Hello and welcome to CI in Under 5. My name is John Weezy, and in this episode I'm going to show you a new feature that we have for using Power Automate to track a measure or a segment and alert you when it gets over a certain number of measures or a certain KPI. For instance, we have this high risk for churn segment that we've created, and it has 2,646 members. Let's say that, that's a relatively small amount, although we'd still probably do some work to target those particular customers. But let's say that at some point we determine that once we get to the threshold of 3,000 members in that group, in that segment, that's kind of like an all hands on deck sort of moment where we need everybody focusing on those customers and how we can get more of them to fall out of that bucket of high risk for churn. So one of the features that we've added is in export destinations, is where you'll find it today. There's a Power Automate. So when we click on that, it's going to go ahead and open Flow, or what used to be called Power Automate, sign us in, and we see here that we have some triggers down at the bottom. I did a video not that long ago on how to use these first two triggers, which are when a data source successfully refreshes and when a data source fails. The two that we're going to talk about today are the business measure threshold is crossed or a segment threshold is crossed. So these are the two new ones. These will be triggered when the segment or the measure gets beyond the value that you give it. So it's only one way, so it's only when it increases above the value that you've given, not when it goes below it. And what we're going to do is we're going to set up a trigger. We have to give it our instance, so it's going to go ahead and load our different ones. This is the one that we're working in. I picked the segment, which is the high risk for churn, and then I'm going to set the threshold at 3,000. And then we can give it a new step. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do email. And actually I'll do Outlook to be specific. And I'm going to have it go ahead and send an email message. I'm going to go ahead and send it to the admin for this account. And then I can specify what I want. And you can see that I get a number of values that I can choose from. So I can say, I can choose the display name, has exceeded the threshold numbers. There we go. One thing I'll point out is when you get to the body here, the values change. The ones that are here change. So if we look here, we have 5 of them that we can choose from. But when we get down here, it only shows us 2. These other ones are available. So for instance, if I wanted to say put the threshold, I can actually do that. I just have to type it in and it will find it. So there we go. I can say threshold. I can say whatever. Member count over threshold. All hands on deck. And I can hit save. And this can be whatever you want. That's going to go ahead and save it. And now if I go back, we'll see that it's been saved. It's ready to go out here. And I'm going to switch back over now to Customer Insights. Here we are back in Customer Insights, and we're going to go to the segment. And normally this would just be something that would get triggered on a data refresh. I'm going to go ahead and edit this and change it just so that happens. I'm going to put this down to like 0.8, which should get us over the 3,000 mark. So I'm going to hit save. And that should automatically go ahead and refresh. And we'll let that refresh, and I'll be back in a second when it's done. Okay, we're back. As the segment has finished refreshing, you can see that we have 3,380 members now. So let's go out and see if our flow ran. Here we are back in flow, and if I refresh, we'll see that it did actually run not that long ago. And I'm going to now switch over to my Outlook account, and let's see if we got that email. Here we are in Outlook, and we can see that I did in fact get the email, threshold 3,000, member count over threshold, all hands on deck. And we can see that it did successfully fill in the name and the number in our subject as well. So that is how you can set up an alert for a threshold being crossed for a segment or a measure as well. So a business measure can also be set up like this. Hope you enjoyed this episode and tune in again for other episodes as they come available.